first I thought that this position is very difficult because it was the level for this position is 27 over 2700, and of course I made a mistake and I lost 69 points when I wanted to solve. I thought that I solved it correctly, but unfortunately. So let's start. I want to show you my calculations. As I said, I thought that it would be very easy for me, very difficult, sorry, not easy, very difficult for me to solve this position. That's why I started to search hard variations to calculate. Let's I will show you that variations, and I think you will like it too. So let's start. White played c3 here. Of course, we see that they want to take the knight on d4, and for black, immediately I found this move, knight f3. For me, it was clear that knight f3 is the right move. I did not want to go back to make a passive move. I wanted to go forward to sacrifice and to open the white's king. So I decided to play knight f3 to sacrifice, to open the white's king, and to start to attack, to create some checkmate threats. Knight f3, of course, if white goes to h1, we can take on h2 with a checkmate. If they take with a rook, we can win equality and to have a better position, a winning position. Knight f3, and for white, of course, g takes f3 was the right move, in my opinion. Let's calculate a few moves in our minds, then I can make the moves on the board. I will move the pieces on the board. Knight f3, g takes f3, and of course I took with the pawn. G takes f3 in order to open this file and to create some checkmate threats. I wanted to play queen g4 to check, king h1, and queen g2 with a checkmate. So let's go again. Knight f3, g takes f3, g takes f3, and black wants to play queen g4, king h1, and queen g2 with a checkmate. For white, I found the only move, king h1. I think maybe we can move on the board. Let's move, not to be boring, because the variation is very for me it was very difficult. Of course, I did not move on the board at that time because it was a puzzle, and if I make a mistake there on the first move, on the second move, I would lose many points. That's why I decided to calculate in my mind till the end. I thought that I made it, but I was wrong. In the end, I made a mistake, I made a big mistake, and I lost many points. So let's move on the board. Knight f3. They took g takes f3, g takes f3, and as I said, black wants to check and to checkmate from g2. I found this move for white in order to, on queen g4, to play rook g1 and to protect this square. After king h1, at first I wanted to play, just a second please, I wanted to play queen h3, but then I saw that rook g1, and for black there is no interesting idea here. Of course, black could play rook f4 with this idea, but rook f4, yes, after rook f4, white could play rook g3 if I'm not mistaken, and queen f1, just to repeat, rook g1, rook g3. That's why I decided not to play queen h3, but to play rook g6 with this idea. Hello, yes, of course I remember you. If you have any ideas, please write in the chat. I will analyze that ideas too, because the position is very rich in my opinion, so we can calculate other variations too. So I decided to play rook g6 with this idea, rook g2 and queen h2 with a checkmate. Here At first, I thought that I solved correctly and it's the end. For white, I couldn't find any protection, but then I found a counter attack. White also wants to attack the black's king, to play rook d8, to check, to start to disturb the black's king. Rook d1. What to do for black? I want to remember. I was calculating everything in my mind and I want to figure out here. I played, if I'm not mistaken, at first, yes, I played rook g2. I decided not to pay attention to these checks. I thought that maybe the black's king can escape from here. Rook g2, rook d8, but then I realized that no, black's king can't escape from these checks, and queen d5. If king a6, then endless checks. If c6, then queen d7 check, king a6, queen d3 check. Yes, b5, a takes b5. If king b6, then bishop will join, bishop e3, and maybe white can win here. Even they can win here, because the black's king's situation is also black's king's king is also in a very dangerous place. So a takes b5. I started to calculate king a5. Maybe I thought that I can escape from here, but then b4, king a4, queen c2, king b5, queen d3. Yes, and here also not queen a3, a6, but I think queen a6, queen c6, if king a6. Just a second, please. I will analyze that move too. Just a second, please. Queen a6, king b3, queen a3, king c4. Yes, maybe also it would be an endless checks. It would be draw. Maybe. Let's go back. Just a second, please. Queen c6. In which position? Maybe here? Where did you mean queen c6? Because if here queen c6, they will lose their queen. If queen d7, king a6, maybe you have meant queen c8, king a5, b4, king a4, queen a6, king b3, queen a3. It's very dangerous for black to play king c2, because they will get a checkmate from d2. Yes, queen c8. Okay, I see. So in this position, black has to play king c4. I think it's a draw. Either queen a2. No, sorry, queen a2, king b5, c4. Black will lose here. Bishop d2, king c5, bishop e3. Everything with checks, because they have to play very quickly, not to allow to black to checkmate from h2. So bishop e3, king b4, and maybe rook b1, king c3. Yes, and queen b3 with a checkmate. It's very dangerous for black's king to go for a walk, to go from here, to escape, to try to escape. So maybe instead of c6, better to play king a6, queen b5, king b7, and just to make a draw. So then I realized that, just a second please, rook g6, rook d1, rook g2 is in favor of white, because they can make a draw. But then, just a second please, rook d8, I found that I'm not forced to take on d8, right? In some variations, I can leave this rook under attack in order to win a time, to play king b7. But not right now, because here king b7, queen d5. Again, maybe black needs to make a draw, not to play c6, because after c6, I think white can win easily. king b8, queen d6, king c8, queen c6, king a8, again queen c6 with a checkmate. This is easy, really, Rafik. For me, it was very difficult. I don't know. And king a4. I think I answered on that question, king a4, right? And there, white could checkmate the black's king. Okay, Vishesh Gupta. I think I answered on your question, right? So let's go back. Here, I decided not to play rook g2. I couldn't win there. Before rook g2, move the rook up to avoid checks. Move the rook up. After rook d1, where to move? Before rook g2 to avoid the checks. Maybe you mean rook d6. Hello, maybe you mean rook d6, but also they can take and to start to attack the king up. To play king b7. I think it's the same. They can play rook d7 and then to play queen d5 with that idea, with the same idea, or rook d8 with the same idea, queen d5. Rook d6 also will not work, Rafik, because they can take and to take and again to start check, 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 endless checks to repeat. And even they have an extra bishop. I don't know how to win in this position for black. Even if we try to create a checkmate threatment, just to play rook g1 to protect this square and everything is over. I don't know. I think yes, rook d6 doesn't work for black. What do you think about that? So rook d1. I decided to play queen h3. Then rook d8 check. At first I took rook d8, queen takes, king b7, and queen d5, yes, and again it was repetition, king a6, queen b5, king b7, queen d5, and c6, queen d7. If rook c6, then just to go rook g1 and to win with an extra bishop. Then, on just a second, just rook d6, yes. What about rook c3 to block? Rook c6, you mean? I see. Can you please check with engine? I will check. I checked after I made a mistake. After I made a mistake, I found the right decision in 3 seconds, just in 3 seconds. And then I've checked with an engine. Queen h4 to protect d8. Let's try. Here. Instead of queen h2, we can play queen h4, but I wanted to attack the white's king. I wanted to checkmate him. So that's why I did not want to make passive moves. I don't know. For me, queen h4, they have an extra bishop, so we must play quickly to create some attack. That's why I wanted to checkmate very quickly. I played queen h3, and then when I calculated this variation, I decided to leave this rook under attack, not to waste the time on taking. I played king b7, check, queen d5, and just now I played rook c6. Here I want to checkmate from g2. If you remember, let's compare these positions. Queen h3, rook d8. If I take, queen takes, check. Here, rook c6. Then white can play rook g1, and there is no rooks on f8 and d8. And they protect from this checkmate threatment, and with an extra bishop, of course, they will win. That's why I decided not to waste the time to play king b7 immediately. Queen d5. Rook c6, rook g1, they have to protect, and just now to take rook d8, queen d8, I found an interesting idea in my opinion, rook d6, and then rook d1 to pin and to checkmate from g2. And everything, this every variation I was calculating in my mind, and here I was sure that I am right. Rook d6, queen somewhere, and rook d1. I thought that I am winning, but I missed this move, queen e7, and also I think they could play queen e8 too with the same idea, but queen e7 of course is better, and after rook d1 just to take on g7 to protect everything. I made a mistake. I played, after all that calculations, I played knight f3. I was sure that I'm right. I played knight f3, and the program said that it was wrong, and I lost 69 points from puzzles rating. Just a second, please. Queen g5, protect the rook. In which position? Sorry. Rook g... No, here. I played rook g6, rook d1, queen h3, rook d8. Can you write, please, in which position to play queen g5? Maybe rook c6, rook g1. No, I left my rook on f8, right? I played king b7, rook c6, rook g1, rook d8, queen d8. Ah, maybe you have meant from g5 to protect the rook, but if you mean in this position, rook d6, do you mean here queen g5? Because the queen will be under the pawn's attack. Let's wait for a while. While you are writing, if I understood you right, queen g5, what was the winning move before you sacrificed your knight? I will say right now, to say that I was in the shock is an understatement. It was awful, of course. I brought everything back, and just in 3 seconds, I saw the right solution. I found the right way. I just played g3. Just a second, please. Here is white's turn. c3. They wanted to take the knight. I found this move, g3. We want to checkmate from h2, and also we start to control this square. If they take with this pawn, we can take with the checkmate. If they take with this pawn or with the rook, just to check from e2 and to take on g3 and to take on f1. Can you imagine? I was in a shock. Just 3 moves, even 2, g3 and knight d2 with the idea. So not every position that we can have over 2700 level, not every position can be very difficult. I just really estimated this position. I thought that it would be very difficult and started to calculate. Yes, it was awful, of course. Okay, if you have no question about this position, let's go forward. And the second position, it's an end game. If pawn takes pawn, then which pawn? This one? Then just knight d2, and they have to sacrifice their queen in order to protect from this check. Yes, if h takes g3, yes. Ah, okay, Rafik, I see. That's why you thought that it's very easy. Okay, so g3 with this idea, knight e2. Let's go forward, and the second position, just a second, please. Let me set up. King f3. Ah, it's flipped. Word is flipped. King f3. What if they don't capture h3? What is the response? Just a second, please. Let's go back. c3, g3, h3, for example, right? What to do here? Can we check from e2 and then to take rook f2? Rook f2. And what to do for white? And now black wants to take on h3, queen h3, g takes h3, and rook h2 with the checkmate, because the knight is controlling this square. If they take, I think we can even take with a pawn and to promote it. There is no protection, right, for white? I don't see any protection. Knight f3. Maybe here, knight f3. To put under attack, rook f3. Maybe rook f3, g takes. Oh, no. Maybe no need, because they can close from g2. Knight f3. Why to sacrifice the knight if we can play knight e2, Rafik? Rook f3, rook f3 here. Rook f3 here, maybe. Maybe you are right. Why not, really? King f2. Can they escape? King e1. Queen e4. Queen e2. And unfortunately, we can't pin because of the bishop. Maybe they can escape. Maybe really knight e2 is much more better. Don't you agree? This puzzle was from Lichess. My rating was there over 2700, but now I lost 69 points. So now it's 26, 65 or 66. Okay, my rating is 2156, FIDE rating. Let's go forward. Knight in, knight e2, line, rook f3. That was amazing. Thank you so much. Arun, in knight e2 line, just a second, please. Here, rook f3. It's a check in this position. Do you mean in this position? Knight e2. Here, rook f2. If here, rook f3, we can take with a check and to checkmate from h2, I think. If you mean here to play rook f3, promote to knight. Hello. I'm fine, thank you. And how are you? Greetings from Armenia. Thank you so much. Let's go forward. If you have other questions, please write in the comments. After the stream, write in the comments. We can continue calculations. Okay, let's go forward.